Okay, next up we've got this lesson, which is get random meme. So let's get on with it, shall we?
Let's apply what we just learned about event listeners to our meme generator project. Ultimately, what we'll be doing is making an API call as soon as our component loads and getting data from an API that includes 100 of the most popular meme images right now, but we haven't quite yet learned everything we need in order to make that work. So for now, what I've done is I made the API request and I just saved the data that came back here in memesdata.js. You can see we have the object, it's got a data property that has a memes property, and that is an array of 100 items. Each one of those items is an object that has a URL property. So you're going to have to do a little bit of digging into this memes data object, but your challenge is to make it so that when we click the button, it will randomly choose one of those URLs and just log it to the console. For now, don't worry about displaying the image yet. One modification I made to our markup here is I changed our form element into a div element. Long story short, when you have a button inside of a form, it actually submits that form and tends to refresh the page unless you stop it. But I realized that there's actually no reason for this to be collected together in a form because ultimately this button does its own thing by getting a new image. It does not take these inputs and submit them somewhere. So in this case, I feel like it's okay to have our inputs floating outside of a form. And that way it means that when we click our button, it doesn't refresh our page because it's not trying to submit a form. Okay, so the challenge is to get a random image from the memes data array, which I've already imported for you. You'll get that anytime this new meme image button is clicked. For now, just log the URL of that new image to the console. If you're feeling hazy on how to get a random item from an array, you'll probably want to turn to Google, but I know that you'll be able to do it. Pause the screencast, work on this challenge.
Okay. It's really reasonably straightforward. So what I usually do situations like this is to break it down into steps. What you need to do. So step 1, attach event listener. Click event listener. Click event listener to button. Step 2, handle click event. In this case, console logging the image URL, and then console logging a image URL from the array, from the object. Sorry, array object. Sorry, it's an array, isn't it? Yeah, from the array, from the data array. Then make it random. Get a random item from array. Okay, 3 steps then, I guess. Right, let's attach the event listener to the button. So, was it on click? Was it? Let's find out. On click equals what we're going to call it. Get image. Let's get URLs easy, isn't it? Get URL. So we want to write that function above the return. Function get URL. Console.log. Let's just put it work to start with. Yep. Right, done task 1. Task 2, handle click event. We've done that. Console login in image URL from the data array. Right, what's the name of the array? Memes, data.memes. Do that. That was imported. Oh, it's called memes data. I think that's better. Let's get the console up. We can see it all there. So we want to be drilling down into data. And then memes, I think. Yep, it's taking that, isn't it? So let's take the first one, the first item in the array, which is this one. Drake Hotline Bling. I'm just intrigued to see what this is. Let's have a look. Great. So that's that. Right, so let's get, instead of just the whole thing, let's get the URL, which is that. Should just print the object property value. Yes, that's worked. Right, so I've done section 2, task 2. Console login an image off and data array, so that's that. Now we need to make it random. So I have done a bit of work before, as you can see in that tab. So we're going to be using the math object. And with the math object in JavaScript, it provides a randomized method, which is this one. So that's right at the bottom, I think, how you use it. Yeah. That what's that? The math all around down the run. Whole number. No, I don't want that. I think this generates a number between 0 and 1, but with loads of points, not points. Till I've done maths for like 25 years. Well, I'll just show you. I'll try to explain it. Crap at maths, I only got a C. Right, let's put random num in that variable. We'll call the math object and use the random method. Let's log that instead of that for now. So that number between 1 and 0, 0 and 1, it should print. Yeah, so if you watch that. Oh, hang on. What's going on? Same number all the time. What the frig? Hey? It's running that once. It's not within the function. It's not within the click handler. Let's call that handler instead, I think. Right, yeah, that's it. So what's happening there is it's just running once, using that number over and over and over again. Whereas, if we run that within the function, it'll generate a new one every time. Yep. See? Right, we need to times that by 10 now to make it a whole number. I think. I think you can do it there, actually, can you? Yeah. Right, so that's a number between 1 and 0, but we don't want all those bits on it. Luckily, the math object provides another function, method even, called round. Is it round? Round the number to its nearest integer. No, that's not right. Yes, it is. So we need to pass in the existing value of random num. So random num now becomes math dot round, and we're sending in itself at this stage. No, I don't want to leave Chrome. Thank you. It's going in there. That should round it up. Not saved it ever. Hey, there we go. Random number. Right. So we've got that random number now. Then we'll use that. Don't need that anymore. We're going to use this random number instead of hard coding that array index there. So that should now print tons of random. Oh, not saved it. Why does it keep doing that? Right, we should get loads of random URLs now. Well, not random. We should get any of these. Because it's going to, there's 100 items in it, and it's going to randomly pick an item. Yay, it's working. Not sure that's the, I'm sure you could probably wrap that whole thing in there, but it works, so sod it. Let's see how Bob solves this problem.
Let's start by hooking up our button. I'm going to add an on-click event listener. And when the button is clicked, I will run a function that says get meme image. I haven't yet created that, so let's create that function, get meme image. For now, I'll just have it console log clicked to make sure that everything is hooked up correctly. I'll hit save, click the button, clicked. Okay, good. Now if we look closely at memes data, it's an object. There's the object. It has a data property, which has a memes property. So I need memes data.memes, and that's my array. I think I'll simplify that by simply saying const memes array equals memes data.memes. And then I will generate a random number. So I'll say random number, and I can use math.floor, math.random times the length of my array. So that's memes array.length. This
Sorry, but mine looks clear. Mine's easier to understand than that. In my head, anyway.
random number should get me a random index of my memes array, and that indexed item will be an object with a URL property. So let's actually just console log random number and see how we're doing so far. 16, 50, 92. Okay, I wanted to see a high number to make sure that it was going up to 100. I probably don't need to click this until I see 100, or actually I think it would be 99. So I can get my image object.
Oops, I did it from 1 to 10, didn't I? What's that? What have I done differently? He's done. Oh, I'll have to look into that. Yeah. I ballsed up, didn't I? Oh well. Such is life.
Or actually, I can just do it all in one. I'll say const URL equals, and then I'll index into memes array at the index of random number. This is my object with a URL property. So I'll just save that as URL so it's nice and short. Or if we wanted to do some object destructuring, I could just say, get me the URL property from this memes array. I don't want to conflate a few things here, so I'll just keep it straightforward like this. And then we'll just console log the URL. Of course, I could do probably most of this in a single line, but I find that sometimes separating it out makes it a lot easier for other people to read. We'll hit save, and I guess I have no way to ensure that these are in the correct index, but I can't see why they wouldn't be. So this is awesome. We're getting random images every time we click our button. At this point, we are a little bit blocked, and I'll show you why. If I create, let's say, a paragraph down here, and I try to stick my URL in there, well, first of all, I have a problem because my URL is only declared inside of this function. And so this is not going to know what I'm talking about. If I hit refresh, it's going to say it doesn't know what URL is, essentially. So you might think, well, let's declare URL outside of the function. You could say let URL, and then just set URL equal to this and console log URL. Let me hit save, and now at least URL is, well, of course, my styling is all messed up because my paragraph is, let's put this outside here so we have that above. Click new meme image. Okay, well, we set URL equal to the new meme image right here. However, my UI did not update. This has everything to do with the way that React looks at variables and decides when it should update the UI or the user interface. And spoiler alert, it doesn't do that by just looking at every variable that we declare inside of our component. In the next cast, we're going to dive a little deeper into this conundrum that we have and start figuring out how we can make it so that we can update a variable that will then replace what we have on the screen with the new value of that variable.
Right, that was a bit of a head scratcher at the end. It's interesting to see the different way that he went about doing the well, for a start, getting the array, the random number out of the array, but also kind of making that a bit more succinct when he looked at the data array and got those properties and just put it in a new array there, whereas I just accessed the items directly. That probably looks a bit clearer. I need to look into why I've done that wrong, but I got it from 1 to 10, so times it by 9. No. Okay, it's a bit late in the day now, so I think I'll call it a day. So the next cut. Am I going to make this into one long video? But tomorrow, there won't be any difference to the viewer. We'll make this into our current conundrum, which was the passing of data where it doesn't live in there, doesn't know about it or something, but I'm too tired to take all that in now. But that was lesson 6 done, project get random meme. I think I did alright in that, and I'll leave it there for now. Next time you see this video, it'll cut, it'll probably be daylight.